And good evening. Welcome to the Easy Path Project live stream. I'm Michael, your host, and tonight we're having the inaugural um, White Night. Well, it's Wednesday, so let's call it White Night Wednesday. But the idea is that we're going to approach things tonight from a perspective of the woman. Sometimes guys think that women are these crazy, wild, foreign creatures or whatever. And so I'm going to give you some perspective about how women think and how, everything about dating or relationships or getting a girl or whatever. Those things don't necessarily have anything to do with you at all. I mean, obviously you do have something to do with it, but, there's the possibility that a girl uh, will totally be into you, like she digs you. You don't have to win her over or whatever. You've already like gotten that part accomplished, but yet she's still, regardless of her attraction for you, she still turns you down, says no or whatever, just rejects you. So the topic tonight is why women say no that has absolutely nothing to do with your worth or appeal. So, could understanding the real reasons behind women's decisions eliminate the confidence damage that comes from perceived rejection? Um, I think that's a really big problem that young guys have just in general. Like if you're even the slightest bit shy or introverted or you have any confidence issues or whatever, and then you go up to a girl or whatever, like, you listen to some of these gurus and they say, oh, just approach and just approach and that'll just solve all your problems. It's like, no, you go up and you try something, you try it half-assed, or you try it unprepared, or you don't like, have your full confidence going, and you get shot down. And then, for the next year, you lick your wounds and you sit there and say, well, nobody likes me or whatever. Well, that's not really the case. It's like, sometimes things just happen. And, when we start talking about resilience, and true inner strength or whatever, it's like these things are not going to stick with you anymore. You're going to be able to just brush them aside. If anything, you're going to hang on to them as as an educational experience, but you're not going to attach any value to it. And that's one of the things tonight. I want to explain how, there are real, honest to goodness reasons why a girl who might like you might not want to be in a relationship with you. And so that's what comes up next. What invisible factors influence women's dating choices that most men never recognize? One of the things that kind of led to this idea of having a white knight show was that in the past, especially when I was active on a particular dating forum back in the day, I actually made a post to the effect, that women are like humans too. They have things going on in their life, and you don't have to come barging in like a bull in a china shop or whatever. It's like, take it easy, like pull the reins back a little bit, and go into it, and instead of trying to force whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, figure out how like you can sort of adapt to what she's going through in her life. And it's going to make it a lot easier for you if you don't think of it so much as a 100% you thing. Relationships are 50-50. And if you're putting yourself at 51% or more, then you're overextending yourself. You're off balance. Once you, pull back, get balanced again, evaluate the situations that you're dealing with more clearly, more rationally, less emotionally, or whatever, you'll find that the things that these women have to deal with, if you consider them, is going to make it a lot easier for you in the long run. And recognizing that her decision reflects her circumstances rather than your flaws preserves your confidence, and prevents unnecessary self-doubt spirals. Like I mentioned in the first example up here, like a lot of guys, they build themselves up. Like, I got to go talk to this one particular girl, and this one particular conversation with this one particular girl has to go this one particular way, or yeah, it's a total failure and I'm just a loser, and I'm just going to go beat myself up for this and whatever. It's like wrong, wrong, wrong. It's like, first of all, cut yourself some slack, but second of all, it might not be you. uh, there was a comedian whose name I can't recall, but I've actually got the book on the front seat of my truck, who wrote, he's just not that into you. It's a book for women who are dating, who can't understand why they can't keep a man. And it's like, well, the guy just isn't that into you, and that's why he's not doing the things, leading to a relationship or whatever. The flip side of that is for guys, it's like, sometimes she's got stuff that she has to deal with, and regardless of what our feelings are for you, that they don't supersede those other considerations that she might have. Mm, sometimes it just sucks. I mean, but other times, you could find ways to accommodate it. If she is somebody special and somebody that you need to um, make considerations for, make uh, yeah, dealing with her things, helping her deal with her things. That's a nice way to be a relationship partner, right? Helping your partner get through stuff that they got to deal with. Hey, that's an opportunity. Anyway, but the name of this live stream tonight, it's not about you. The truth about why attraction doesn't guarantee anything. But before we start, this is a live stream. As you can see, the banner down at the bottom, streaming live. And so each weeknight, Monday night through Friday night, around 7:30 p.m., I have this live stream where I try to help guys, kind of navigate the dating stuff. In the past, I used to be a bullheaded guy, and I used to, try to push my way into relationships and push my way around in relationships and whatnot. And it was really, on the whole, it was fun, I guess. But on the other hand, I've got a lot of regrets about the things that I did or did not do, and that I could have done better. And so this is kind of like my opportunity to maybe help you guys avoid some of those situations and maybe make your life go a little bit better. I mean, this is indeed called the Easy Path Project. Maximum life, minimum struggle. We're trying to get through this as best we can. Make the most out of it, but don't work our asses off. Like, just take it easy, slide on into the cool stuff. Anyway, so this is the hat, the actual hat that I bought. Like I said, when I was getting crap from those guys on the forums for daring to, consider what a woman might think or feel or whatever, like instead of slinking back and backing off, I was full on. I was like, well, you're a dumbass if you're not paying attention. I mean, seriously. Anyway, so when I got the idea for these live streams, I actually went out and got myself an actual hat, which is this hat right here. Yeah. And so the idea was that I was going to wear this cool white night hat, and really like, whoops. Anyway, but unfortunately, like I said, I've been having audio issues lately that were solved by getting a headset, and headsets and hats do not work together. So, um, just go back and take a look at the hat and see that this is a white knight lesson. We're talking about girls tonight. Okay, let's get into this. So why a girl might reject you besides you. Like I said, the premise is that this girl might be into you. I mean, seriously, she might, think you're cute or think you're funny or whatever, but for whatever reason, she might not be able to pull the trigger and actually form a relationship with you. And now obviously this is going to be like a wide variety. I think I've got like 20 or 21 different examples here. So, not all of these are going to apply to you, but you can kind of extrapolate the idea, you know, uh, figure out how, maybe your situation where, you know, well, whatever, we'll get into it. Anyway, so for instance, like a girl, she's focused on career goals or major life transitions. Um, in my spare time, I listen to other creators on YouTube, people that talk about dating or their relationships or um, the psychology of inner game or these various things that relate to what we talk about here. And this one lady who's in the next town over, a couple mile or whatever. Anyway, um, she's 40 years old now, and she's decided finally that that she's going to get a guy. She's going to settle down and have a relationship. So the way that she explains it, she's been a very active dater from high school or college until now. So that's 20 years at least of her concentrating on herself, on her career goals, the things that she wants to accomplish or whatever. And you know, I'm certain, I haven't heard it from her, but I'm certain that those were considerations when some of these guys came along. I'm sure that in that span of time, she might have, been with several men that were perfectly suitable for what she wanted to do, but for whatever reason, she passed. And if those guys are really into her, well, it would suck for them. But the truth of the matter is that her career goals mattered more to her life than the gentleman, right? And so best for them just not to internalize that and go, oh, well, no girl will ever like me because this one girl didn't like me. Well, it wasn't you, right? Okay, the next one. Recently ended a relationship and needs time to heal. Um, yes, like sometimes girls do pretty ridiculous things when they end a relationship. They go out and try to make the guy jealous or whatever, and they can do some pretty ridiculous things. I don't need to explain it very clearly. I imagine you can think about it for a second and see why that would be a bad way to do things. But hopefully, after she's gotten over being angry or pissy or whatever about it, that that she takes the time to understand what it was about that relationship that didn't work out and why. And so, it could be a situation that you're there in that time period where she just entered a relationship or she's in the figuring it out part. Doesn't have anything to do with you. She's trying to figure out what happened the last time. Hopefully, she's trying to figure out, she's the common denominator of like all of the problems that she's had in the past or whatever, just like with you. But hopefully that she'll take the time to address those things, and the next guy that comes along is going to find that she's a lot better relationship partner, and that she won't have to deal with the crap that she had to deal with in the past. Okay, the next one is dealing with family responsibilities or personal challenges. Um, a girl I know, had a situation with her father where he had tried to go to a different country and ended up not doing so well money wise and all kinds of different stuff. And so, like, she was trying to handle her own things, but she was also having to deal with a parent that was in a foreign country and having problems. So she couldn't really like concentrate on what she wanted to do when it came time to dating or to having a relationship. And she had other, she was a business owner, um, all of these things, and so sometimes all of these things add up to something more important than maybe that guy. And even if she likes him, when it comes down to family or it comes down to personal stuff, like that family and personal stuff comes first. Okay. Why a girl might reject you besides you planning to move or travel long term. Um, I've actually had this situation myself. Younger me traveled a lot, and so I had situations where, regardless of how I might have felt about a girl that I knew at that time or whatever, that it wasn't going to happen, and had nothing to do with her, but that I was a rambling man and I was moving on, and see ya. And it's kind of the same thing, if she's got a job offer somewhere or she wants to go see France or, um, an ashram or whatever. And like, those opportunities, are only available for certain periods of your life. And unfortunately, if you happen to be, the opposite side of making a decision about, something that might be a life-changing event, well, sorry, it wasn't you. Okay. Different long-term relationship goals, casual versus serious. This is usually framed as like, the man has all these different opportunities or whatever, and they're only just thinking about sex or whatever. And so, the woman, and we discussed this last night, but women have a drastically different timetable, for their lives. Like, you they're trying to compress a whole bunch of stuff into about a 20-year window. And if you don't respect that 20-year window, things go really kind of crappy if you didn't, take advantage of those things. And so it could be a situation where, she's ready to settle down and have kids, and you're thinking that maybe it's, just nice to have a girl that likes to go hang out, maybe come over for Netflix and chill or whatever the euphemism is. And it could be the other way around too. Once again, she could have been just out of a relationship or something, and so she wants to keep it casual. Well, especially if we're talking about guys who have relationship issues, they might be a little bit clingy or a little bit one-itis or whatever, and so they might want to gonna have something serious, and the girl is not into it. Once again, not you, just the timing. Okay, incompatible life plans or timelines. Um, her career might be very important to her, or the fact that she needs to have children, or that you might be in school, or that you might have a job that doesn't timelines. Like, there could be a million different ways that things just don't work out simply based on your time, where you are in your life, or what you want to do or need to do at this time. And once again, not you. Significant age difference creating different life stages. Um, this is something I've actually, had to discuss with some friends of mine. That it's funny. There was that old movie with Matthew McConaughey where he's like a 23-year-old dude or whatever, uh, and he's still hanging out at the high school where he went to school or whatever. And he made a joke about like he gets older, but the girls stayed the same or whatever. And there start to be these situations in life, like if you get to be a generation or even 10 or 15 or 20 years different, where you've got to consider where you are in your life stage. For example, you know um, if you're an older guy, like you might be looking for fun or whatever, because like a 23-year-old or whatever can be a lot of fun. But at the same time, you know if you are truly an honest, thoughtful, compassionate person, you also know that that girl is on a timer. And I know that's a horrible thing, like, to say in this society, but it is true. And I'll discuss it with anybody at any time. But so for instance, if you're an older guy and you're with a younger girl and you're thinking it's just for fun, well, she should be like looking for a relationship partner so she can start a family. Like, I spend a lot of time in another country, and in this country, the women, like, children are probably more important than life itself. And so for a young woman to get to 27, 28, 29, right up in those years, and not have a kid, is a bad thing. It is unacceptable. And so I would see these older guys that would go down there and they would get with these younger women. And the first thing that the women would bring up is that they want to have kids, they want to start a family. Well, the guys might be quite a bit older than them. They might already have families. They might have vasectomies. All these different things. It's like on one hand, yes, it is fun. A lot of times they talk about, well, there's nothing to talk about with a younger woman or an older man or whatever, but you can actually, have a lot of fun in that situation. I mean, that's why people do it all the time, and it's a natural fact that the younger women, gravitate to older men, more established, more status, more wisdom, better looking, no, all these things. Um, but yes, so there is this give and take, this sharing kind of thing that you can have in the relationship, but you really do have to consider those things, and it's almost one of those things where you would have to communicate. You would have to bring it up as a man, and that would be really tough, right? If you had to sit there and talk yourself out of a hot 23-year-old or whatever, like that actually comes up to our one of the 9 pillars of inner game that we talk about, is the moral courage. Having the ability to stand up for your morals, even if in some sense it's detrimental to you. And so you have to consider these kind of things, and it might be the kind of thing that the girl is considering with you. She might think, wow, he's the greatest guy ever and all these other things. But if he's older than me to a certain point, like I'm going to be in my 40s or 50s and he's going to be in a nursing home or dead. I mean, sad but true. So a lot of considerations. And you know if the girl has those kind of considerations, once again, it's not you, it's the calendar. Okay, why a girl might reject you besides you. Different values regarding family, religion, or lifestyle. You know, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. If you're not the same religion, um, I recall hearing, women having to go through all of these, jump through all of these hoops to like, to adopt the religion of their husband or vice versa. And, sometimes your values are just stronger for like your familial side or for your, um, from your country or, the group of people, your tribe or whatever. All of that could be a lot. I mean, blood is thicker than water, right? And so if she doesn't choose you because, you're not the same religion, or maybe even like, the Hatfields and McCoys, you might be feuding. You might be like uh, the two families in Romeo and Juliet, I mean, there just might be reasons beyond you. And what are you going to do, right? It's not you. Okay, long distance situation seems unworkable. It's crazy now in the United States, even in small little towns, or even in not small little towns. I'm talking about like places with like under a half or a quarter million people or whatever. Like travel is getting difficult. Like, for instance, if I wanted to to date a girl on the opposite side of town from me or whatever. I mean, we're talking about 2 hours roughly, like, of travel in both directions. I mean, it's just stupid now. And so, if she's got a situation where she might be going to school or she might be working or have family members or whatever, and it requires her to be a distance away that might even be 15 miles or whatever. Well, if that 15 miles is difficult to navigate, um, unless you're just like the most amazing man ever, it's like it's possible she's going to choose a different path. It sucks, but it's not you. You didn't cause that. It's just that's the way it is. And this is a good one. Like, I remember when I was a wee lad, and like I was just out of college or whatever. Like, I was young, and I worked in a big uh, car dealership conglomeration with like 7 dealerships or whatever. And so I went up um, to the Lexus dealer often for my work, and they had a really cute receptionist there, and so I would chat her up, and it was fun, and blah blah blah. And one day I just said, "Hey, we're always talking, like, why don't we go out and get some coffee or whatever?" Well, before I get back to my office, like, there's somebody, like, with a blinking light or whatever on my phone, with me having to get in touch with the boss in the company or whatever, about me, in intra-company dating and whatnot. And it's like, I would, whatever. Like, all I wanted to do was to get to know this girl better, but apparently, that's a bad idea in the workplace. And especially like if you're in a situation like where you got one-itis, or, where you actually do date or whatever, and then like it can cause all kinds of weird stuff. Like, that is a weird thing sometimes, like when you have to go to the same place that kind of you sort of have not bad blood, but I mean, like, some sense of being uncomfortable or whatever, and you have to deal with that person on a regular basis, and sometimes it can be really uncomfortable. So the idea is, avoid that. And and in fact, I mean, that's just a suggestion on my part. It's like, don't date anybody at work or whatever. Use them, right? Like I said, this isn't so necessarily about manipulation or whatever, but I mean, like, taking advantage of your opportunities. So, for instance, if you uh, know people at work or whatever, have those people, leverage those people into meeting other people. Use that um, as a way to improve your social game or whatever. So you don't actually end up, dating or having anything to do with anybody in your own business, but yet you can go outside of that and get something that works better for you. Anyway, but like I said, so if she decides that you're kind of off limits at work, then you're off limits, not having to do anything with you. So what do you think? I mean, does this make sense? Like, can you see what I'm talking about? Um, these are blatantly obvious. It's not, it's not really hard. In fact, I've got like about 10 more of these, like, so that I can really hammer the um, the idea into your head. Um, but yeah, so these are the kind of things we're going to talk about. Like, these are the considerations, the things that I want you to start, like, allowing yourself, just to ruminate, like, just think, oh, okay, these kind of things exist, right? And I don't have to beat myself up or whatever things don't work out well, because, like Michael showed me on that silly uh, white knight live stream he did, that that is probably not me. Anyway, also, if you know anybody that needs to hear this kind of thing, like, if you got buddies or whatever, and they're maybe not having such good luck with women, or they're not able to, um, they're not able to build up their inner game or to find their way through the little relationships or whatever, like, tell them to come hang out. you know. The idea behind this live stream is for my online friends or whatever to come hang out and we could talk about chicks, right? And the fact that I've lived my life and whatever, and I have helped guys in the past with dating situations. Plus, I've spent a lot of time thinking about my own relationships with people, and I have some stuff that I think will be helpful, if nothing else. As a bad example, like don't do what I've done, right? And so, if you know anybody that needs any of these lessons or whatever, like these tips, tricks, techniques, whatnot, definitely share the link to the video and have them come hang out. Okay, so let's move on. So the next step, why a girl might reject you besides you. Okay, past relationship patterns she wants to break. Okay, I don't mean to keep hammering on this woman that I listened to her dating podcast, but it just seems very applicable to this conversation tonight. And so, once again, bad examples, right? But so, for instance, she dates a lot of military guys, ex-military guys. She's worked and lived in military cities and dated military guys. And I don't know if you ever thought about it, about how the military works, but it's a tough life for uh, even the soldier. And like, if he has a family, goodness, it's like even crazier. Um, for a whole bunch of reasons. Like I said, that's a long kind of uh, entire live stream by itself if anybody ever cares. But so, for instance, if that woman came to my town, which is a military town, and wanted to date or whatever, she would have her pick of military guys. Well, if she was trying to break out of the habit of dating military guys and she's in the middle of them, if you're one of them and she shoots you down or turns you down or whatever, even though she might think you're funny and like hanging out with you and whatever, it's not you. It's like that she wants to deal with this relationship pattern that she doesn't think is valuable to her anymore. Family or cultural expectations or disapproval. You hear about this a lot, like with what us white people call ethnics, right? That's a joke, by the way. I mean, I am white and people are ethnic, but the joke is whatever. Anyway, the point is, like, so for instance, Indian people, like an Indian man who comes to the United States or whatever, is going to have a lot of pressure from his family or from his culture to marry an Indian woman. And you know, and it might be the same uh, for other ethnicities. I'm not really that sure. I've got personal experience with friends who are both Southeast Asian, like Indian and whatever, and also um, regular Asian, like Chinese, Japanese, those kind of things. And so, my Japanese roommate in college just had like an amazingly beautiful girlfriend who was also Japanese. And so, maybe if he had been back home or whatever, he might not have been able to get that hot of a chick. Maybe he could have because he was like a, a cool dude. But, it might have worked out for him great coming to the United States and going to a school and, the Japanese community stick together. And he was able to meet a cute girl out of that dating pool. Meanwhile, me, for instance, like if I had wanted to date her, well, I didn't speak Japanese. I was actually taking a class, but I sucked at it. I couldn't wrap my mouth around it. I have enough trouble speaking English. Like Japanese was a bridge too far. Anyway, but yeah. So even if she had thought I was cute and uh, charming and all that kind of crap, like it could have been a situation where she was like expected to to date somebody from her own ethnicity, and I would have never had a chance. And you might be the same. Emotional unavailability or fear of commitment. Yes, I mean, for whatever reason, like, I mean, it's just in general, right? People are afraid for a whole bunch of reasons, like, you have to be vulnerable and you have to kind of open yourself up to a relationship. And in even the slightest little bit of vulnerability that you show kind of puts you at a disadvantage. If the other person isn't caring or compassionate or considerate or whatever, um, they could really kind of like stick a shiv in you and turn it or whatever. And so people can hold back because of that. A woman, if she's had a bad breakup or bad situations or whatever, and the chances are she probably has, it's like she might be afraid to take that next step with you. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's just she's dealing with ghosts from the past. Okay. Why a girl might reject you besides you. Financial instability, his or hers, creating stress. I recall listening to a man, a buddy of mine, who was talking about his girlfriend, or well, his friend was friends with benefits, and the reason she was that was because she had like an enormous student loan debt, and she wasn't working at a job where she could service that debt very easily. And so it would have been a situation where um, he would have had to, if he had carried on the relationship with her, he would have had to take on her debt, and and that was kind of like a deal breaker. It's tough enough taking care of yourself or a girl that, or a family or whatever, like just in general. But like when you bring student loan debt and some other crap into it, like it's too much. And it might be the same situation for the girl. She might have um, a problem with something about you, or it might be a situation, that she wants to deal with before she goes into a relationship, and she has to, say, okay, well, not only do I come, in the relationship, but along with this relationship is this like financial responsibility that's, seemingly overwhelming. It's like, okay, well, no, not you. An existing friendship she doesn't want to risk. Um, I've mentioned a couple times I really found it to be quite fascinating, the interview that Dr. Orion Taraban of the Psych Hacks YouTube channel did with Dr. Robert Glover. He's the author of the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. And a lot of guys, especially guys that have like low self-confidence or low self-worth or low self-esteem or a big whole host of issues, um, they allow themselves to sort of get friend zoned, or they put themselves in a position where they're always doing something to try to earn affection or to um, earn the attraction from females or whatever. And so it puts you into this position where you're trying to um, you're hoping that you do these things and then you'll get the relationship or whatever. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't quite work that way. Like, it's more likely that you're going to push the girl's buttons, and then that's how she's going to grow into a relationship with you. But like if you're buddies or whatever, or if she thinks that you're just like what is that famous term, like a beta orbiter, and there's a lot of that. I think the current term for that is simp. And if you start thinking that you have to buy your way into a girl's affections or whatever, first of all, you're on the wrong track. You need to stop. You need to back up, and you need to consider how you do things. But the second thing is that if you're cynical about it, well, she doesn't want to give up you giving her crap, you know. But for the sake of the argument, let's say that she is truly a friend of yours, and that that she would rather um, have a relationship with you as a friend, and not take the chance of losing your friendship. That's actually, one of my best friends, I would say, is a girl that I dated for a while. We actually never broke up. It was very difficult to kind of segue from a relation, a friendship, or whatever, and it was very challenging. And there was some hurt feelings and whatnot. But the point was is that I felt it was valuable enough to hang on to that person as a friend, uh, regardless of relationship or emotions or whatever. And so sometimes you don't want to give up the friendship thing. And so if she wants to keep you as a friend and she doesn't want to lose that, well, once again, not you. Okay, different social circles that don't mesh well. Um, like I mentioned on an earlier live stream, in the past, social circle was the way that I enjoyed a dating life or whatever. I would just meet friends or friends of friends, and it just kind of grows off of that or whatever. But sometimes, you would find that this friend or whatever has a friend of yours that maybe you have a beef with or whatever, right? And so suddenly, it's not just you and the girl; it's you and the girl and her ongoing relationship, like with this other person. And if she's having to choose a possible relationship with you versus a current ongoing relationship with another person, well, it could be that you're the odd man out, right? Once again, it's not necessarily you, it's just that you didn't fit. Okay. Lifestyle differences, social habits, interests, and energy levels. Um, you could be like a gamer or whatever, and she might be like a social butterfly who likes to go to clubs or whatever. Or maybe you like to go to clubs and she's a bookworm or whatever. I mean, like, there's some things that you can overcome, and some things that, like, people like to be pushed. They like to stretch themselves and grow and whatever. But sometimes the amount that you need to grow or whatever to overcome some of these lifestyle differences might be a bit too much to overcome, right? And so, and especially, I was discussing about earlier about age difference relationships, age gap relationships, and sometimes the older men. Actually, it was kind of a joke. It really was funny because for some of these men, like they were dating young women, and they were already fathers or grandfathers or whatever, and so it was very common in the morning for the girls to get up and make these uh, special protein shakes, these special energy shakes with an actual aphrodisiac compound, so that the man would be feeling more randy, and she could get some loving. And yeah, so like that's just one example or whatever. Like, if she wants to have a very active relationship or whatever, and maybe you aren't really up to it, well, that could be a problem. Like I said, it could be something besides you. She could totally dig you, but if you can't keep up, like, it sucks to be you, right? Okay. So why reject you besides you? Unequal ability to invest time and effort. Okay, well, this is the third time I'm going back to a conversation about this lady. and her quest to date. She was talking about one of the probable dates that she was trying to set up, but the guy sent her basically like his uh, Google Calendar or whatever, and like he had these windows. Like I could see you like from 4 to 5 or from 7 to 9 or whatever, and it was all because that he was trying to fit her in to to these windows of time when he wasn't working or he wasn't going to the gym or he wasn't dealing with other obligations or whatever. And this woman kind of took offense to it. And it's like, well, once again, like you're 40, right? Like you've been spending your last 20 something years doing the exact same thing. Like you haven't been investing the time and effort into getting a guy, right? You haven't become a wife. It's like, so, are all those guys supposed to be all bent out of shape because you weren't able to do that? It's like, okay, well, it's the exact, flip side of it or whatever. Like if that guy, can't put the time in or the effort or whatever to get with you, uh, then I mean that's where you are, right? You're prioritizing these other things more than the relationship, and you know, no need to get bent out of shape about it. Like it is what it is. Okay, and here's where it gets kind of funny. These last two are pretty nutty, but mutual friends advising against it. Um, guys will kind of consider their buddy's opinion or whatever. Like if you ask a guy, your friend's opinion, he'll tell you, but like it won't really matter. So like, if you see this girl you want to date and your buddy says, well, she seems kind of crazy. So like maybe you want to avoid that and you do it anyway. Well, it's like, who cares, right? But like women, like if they just seem to be kind of weird about this whole, like they value their friends or their friends' opinions or their social circle or their family or whatever, all these different reasons why they might you know give more value or more um to put, yeah, I mean that's it, put more value in like what the friends or family say or whatever, and people might realize, hey, you're not a good fit or whatever. Or it might be things like where you might have seen the videos on TikTok or whatever, like where even if a girl is like chatting with a guy at a club or whatever, and maybe she's totally getting into him and, and really wants to take it further, maybe meet up or something, but her friends, for whatever reason, whether it's jealousy or all the million things that they might have a problem with, or alcohol or drugs or whatever. And it's like, and they're pulling the girl away, and like she's not going to fight her friends to stay with the guy for the most part. I mean, sometimes like if she's on drugs or alcohol or just horny or whatever, then maybe she'll stick around, but maybe she won't. And it's difficult to overcome like peer pressure or whatever. Okay, and finally, intuition telling her the timing or situation isn't right. This is actually something that I totally 100% agree with, and I think that that as a man you should trust your intuition as well. But for the woman, like sometimes they just will have a feeling like he might be great, but there's something in the back of my mind. There's something that's kind of holding me back, and I just can't move forward with this. Once again, you might be a groovy cat, but if she doesn't feel it, or if she feels that it's not correct, then not much you can do about it. So don't beat yourself up. Like it sucks, but I mean, you know as you go through life, there's a lot of crap that sucks, and you just learn how to deal with it. That's the resilience part of the inner game that we're talking about. It's like if bad situations or uncomfortable situations or unfortunate situations occur, it's like, yeah, it sucks. I wish it wasn't so, but it is. So we deal with it, right? The new paradigm, this plus this, right? Life plus, the girl moving on from me or whatever. And then you get on to the next opportunity. And, if you have that growth mindset, you know, and you don't have the scarcity mindset, right? Because that there's like 4 billion women out there. And, you know, that once you decide that you're going to be the cool guy that you are and you're going to display it, then it's not going to be an issue anymore. You'll just brush your shoulders or whatever, clean the crap off that you know don't attach any value to this. Think of it as a learning opportunity and move on. Yeah, it's not you. Okay, so are you getting value from this video? Like, have I helped you um kind of form an idea, like that it might not be you. It's like and this is just, I mean, I could have gone and find like 7 different uh, slideshows worth of examples, and in fact on future white knight shows, we're going to be talking about some of the considerations that a woman might have as she gets like a woman's life, like, and I mean, and it's the same with men, but I mean very specifically for women, at least in the for our discussion, is that like her 20s and her 30s and then her 40s might be drastically different, whereas a guy, like you just age with fine wine, or you age like fine wine, right? Like you just get better and better and stuff. But unfortunately, like I mentioned, the truth of the matter is that a woman, the the thing that makes her attractive to a man as a wife or as a relationship partner or whatever, changes as she gets older, and sometimes it can be a lot more difficult to deal with. So, for instance, if a girl gets into her 30s and she's still single, she's got to deal with a new set of responsibilities and new ideas and new things like going on in her life that weren't there in her 20s. And and if she's divorced or whatever, she's got a whole bunch of different stuff she's got to deal with. And if she starts getting into her 40s, then it's an even totally different thing. Like you know, what you can offer to a man when you're a 20-year-old woman and when you're a 40-year-old woman are like drastically different. And sometimes finding that guy is a lot harder as you get older. Because men, for instance, like a 40-year-old man who's got his inner game correct, and has a strong inner frame, he can date 20 to 40-year-olds. A 40-year-old woman, her dating pool is diminished, and and she's going to have to be dealing with a whole bunch of durations that are new to her and not necessarily pleasant. And so you know like I mentioned, that understanding where women are mentally and physically in a relationship at a certain given age or a certain given mindset or whatever is really important. And so hopefully you're getting value from this video. You're understanding how these things can apply to you, especially if you're dating a girl in these particular categories or looking to date a girl in these categories. Anyway, also, like the video, please. That helps with the algorithm. Comment. Um, right now, this seems to be just like these hour-long monologues every night. People are nice enough to come in and hang out, and I'm still waiting for the first person to say hello and get this conversation started. But yeah, it's coming. Anyway, but if you like the live streams and you want to join in, click subscribe and make sure to turn on notifications. When you do that, YouTube will hopefully alert you that the live streams are forthcoming. And like I said, I've got a lot of really cool stuff that if you guys don't show up and start chatting with me, I'm just going to keep spitting knowledge, right? You're going to learn stuff just from me rattling on all night. Okay. So to wrap up, recognizing that her decision reflects her circumstances rather than your flaws preserves your confidence and prevents unnecessary self-doubt spirals. I spent the last hour explaining, like, it's not you necessarily. It could be you, and like I said, the best way that you can keep it from being you is if you just allow yourself to ditch all the crap that's keeping you from being the awesome guy that you want to be, and and kind of preparing yourself for that awesome girl. When that awesome girl comes along, maybe some of these things, like if you really are awesome, like we talk about pushing her buttons or whatever. Like if you push her buttons, or make her synapses fire or whatever, or give her the feels, or all these things. If you do these, maybe some of these things I've talked about tonight, she can overlook, put things in your favor. Like it's a possibility. So right now, like I said, realize that if a girl isn't necessarily into you for whatever reason, it's not necessarily you, and and don't sweat it. You know, um, she's actually done you a favor, by taking herself out of consideration. It's like it gives you the opportunity to go out and find a better fit. And really, that's what this is all about, right? Anyway, so with that being said, thank you for coming to the show tonight. I also am going to be here tomorrow night and Friday night. We're going to have live streams Monday through Friday around 7:30 p.m. Central. And if you don't get a chance to catch the live stream, check out the playlist that I've made of the live streams so you can watch the replays. And with the playlist in the description of the videos, I have added chapters. So you can actually go in and if you open up the description underneath the video, you can see what I talk about and exactly the time when I talk about it. And so if you just click on the time stamp or whatever, it'll take you right to that point in the video, and you can hopefully get the little nuggets of knowledge that will help you feel better about yourself and move forward confidently. And that's what we're here for, right? Anyway, so with that being said, thanks for showing up tonight. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, and take it easy.